So Mission Impossible Final Reckoning is the latest installment in the Ethan Hunt-centric spy action series, and it does really well in terms of being a send-off to all of these characters and to this franchise at large. And it has all of the ingredients that we have come to expect from a Mission Impossible movie in terms of a lot of running by Tom Cruise, a lot of big action stunts, nail-biting moments, explosive moments, awe-inspiring moments. However, for me, I was just expecting this to be the best Mission Impossible movie ever, and unfortunately, it just didn't meet that bar. I mean, for one, there was a lot of pacing issues with this movie. I mean, certain moments took forever to get going, as there was so much unnecessary exposition. I mean, fair enough, do one to bring people up to speed with everything that's going on, but it just felt so overdone, and there was unfortunately a couple of moments where this movie really did dip, as it felt a little bit boring and really flat. For example, for me, I wasn't the biggest fan of a very extended submarine sequence. I might be on my own with this because I'm not the biggest fan of underwater sequences in general, because I know a lot of my other friends that were watching it did actually really enjoy this moment. I personally just could not connect with it, and it felt like they were re-explaining their plan about 100 times, and you were like, I get it, I know what you guys are trying to do. And I appreciate that it's a send-off movie, but I feel like the overuse of flashbacks in this movie just got a little bit irritating. And if anything, I feel like it had the reverse desired effect, as you were like, wow, the previous movies were so much better than this one. And on that point, I do actually think that the previous installments were so brilliant and really did make the Mission Impossible name so synonymous with being top tier cinema, as well as the action sequences and the stunt pieces in the previous movies were so good, especially just with the previous installment, Dead Reckoning. I personally loved that movie. I feel like it had one brilliant action sequence after another. I feel like it paced through all of its storylines really effectively, and it had just so many moments where you were on the edge of your seat. For example, the Rhames sequence, the train sequence, even the airport stealth sequence was really slick and sophisticated. However, because this movie is effectively the second part of that movie, the downsides of that film have also crept their way into this one, mainly with the fact that the villain is just unfortunately not that great at all. I mean, he's written in a way that this guy should be really terrifying, having so much presence, which Esai Morales, as decent of an actor he is, I just feel like he's been really miscast in this role, as he didn't have that much gravitas that you really would expect with this character. Maybe Nicholas Hoult, who was originally envisioned for this role, could have done something a little bit better, and actually this has made me more excited for Superman, where he's going to be playing Lex Luthor, as Esai Morales just didn't have this sinister aspect that this character really did need. And also, one of the best parts of Dead Reckoning was Vanessa Kirby's wicked White Widow character, and I thought she would have been in this movie, especially as she survived all of the moments in the previous film, and the previous film was so good with her character, so it's such a shame that she didn't reprise her role in this one. However, there are loads of new additional characters that throw back to the past in a really cool way, and they did say that the plane sequence from a stunt perspective is the most ambitious that they have ever done, and from that perspective you can really see the intricacies that have been thought through in the making of this particular stunt. However, I do have to say that Tom Cruise flying off a hill and landing on a train was done so much better in the previous one. And also, like I said before, the train sequence was just so good in Dead Reckoning. I mean, if you are a big Mission Impossible fan, then of course you have to see this one, but I just think that the previous installment just had much more nail-biting scenarios in them, which I personally was just hoping and expecting from this one. One thing that I do feel like they really want to communicate with this movie is that Ethan Hunt is only going to be played by Tom Cruise, and he does do a really good job in there, and there are multiple sequences in this movie where they really do want to show that Tom Cruise has got an amazing physique, and they definitely do that in this film. As far as a send-off is concerned, I feel like other movies have concluded their particular universes in a stronger way, and I was expecting and hoping that Mission Impossible 8 would have done the same thing. However, what I do like is that they've brought back a lot of characters from the previous installments. Mission Impossible 3, if you're looking for another movie to watch, Mission Impossible 3 is a good one. I just personally wish that this movie would have been just a little bit more epic to really make it absolutely incredible and a real great entry and conclusion to the MI franchise. But one thing I cannot criticize is the fact that everybody totally put their heart and soul in their performances. So let's go through them one by one. So first, of course, Tom Cruise does do a really good job, brilliantly playing Ethan Hunt. I will never get bored board of the sequence where they take their mask off and it's revealed to be them. And every single time that takes place on screen is just done in such a good way. And speaking of final installments, I do have to say that Tom Cruise does do a better job in terms of playing Ethan Hunt in his final appearance than Harrison Ford did do in Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny. Tom Cruise has always needed his right-hand duo played brilliantly by Simon Pegg and Ving Rhames, and Ving Rhames in particular, I mean, his voiceover work whenever he does that is just so iconic. Hayley Atwell is also back. She is really, really good in this movie. However, I much preferred her in Dead Reckoning Part 1. I wish I could say the same about Esai Morales, but I just feel like he really did bring this film down from his villain portrayal perspective. I mean, they did focus a lot more on the entity, this AI character instead, which is a shame, as this character really could have been so scene-stealing and really put a sense of jeopardy in the hearts and minds of the audience, but that was just not possible with this one. Klementieff returns from the previous movie as well, and she is really, really good. I absolutely love her in this movie. Angela Bassett, speaking of voiceovers, she is here too, and she does such a good job. And I absolutely love Shea Wingham in Dead Reckoning, and they give his character a lot more development this time around. And there are so many other supporting characters, and like I said, everybody really does feel the weight of this movie and do put their best foot forward. Overall though, I mean, if you're a Mission Impossible fan, then of course this is going to be necessary viewing. I just wish that it was a lot more stronger and would have just concluded the franchise in such a good way. However, all of that being said, I'm sure that this is not the last time that we are going to be seeing Ethan Hunt and all of these other characters, as I'm sure they're going to find some clever way to continue the Mission Impossible brand in the same way that James Bond and the Bourne franchise just constantly, continually go on and on and on. And so for all of those reasons, as far as Mission Impossible Final Reckoning is concerned, I just wanted so much more from this movie, but like I said, there is still enjoyment to be had, and so I'm going to give Mission Impossible Final Reckoning a solid 5 out of 10. Now I'd love to hear from you. What did you think of this movie? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.